I am Vice President of Paralyzed Veterans of America, Minnesota Chapter, and the 2019-2020 Chair of the Minnesota Commanders Task Force. Thank you for joining us today as we honor and celebrate all who serve and all who have served. Please rise as you are able for the entrance of the official party, and please remain standing. Honor Guard, please present the colors. Please join the Mayor of Inver Grove Heights, George Corville, as he leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. He will be followed by the national anthem performed by Specialist Daniel Heck of the 34th Infantry Division Band.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
outstanding presentation. Thank you, Coco. And thank you, Specialist Heck, for that beautiful rendition of the national anthem. I would now like to invite Captain Hickory Smith with the Minnesota National Guard to lead us in the invocation.
Good morning to everybody on this cold day, but it's a warm presence of people here. You can relax a little bit. There's a little bit of formality in that beginning part here, but I invite you to bow your heads with me. Mighty God, we come before you today as a state and nation in celebration of service and sacrifice. Thank you for sustaining our nation. As we recognize those that have served, may we never forget your providence through the ages. Help us as we go forward today. I ask that you bless those that have served before, those that are serving today, and those that will serve in the years to come. May we always have brave men and women ready and willing to answer the call and serve. May we triumph over evil here and abroad. Please guide us all and give us wisdom to see what is right and the courage to do so. May you bless this ceremony and the many going on around our nation. May you unite us in peace. May we be reminded of the service and sacrifice for the sake of freedom, peace, and unity we so desperately need. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chaplain Smith. You may now be seated. So as we begin this our program, I'd just like a friendly reminder that if we could all turn our cell phones to mute, that would be much appreciated. I have the honor of recognizing the individual seated with me on stage. Please hold your applause until everybody has been introduced, starting from my right all the way to the far right side. Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs Commissioner Larry Herkey, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, the Adjutant General of the Minnesota National Guard, Major General John Jensen, U.S. Senator Tina Smith, U.S. Representative Betty Mccollum, U.S. Representative Dean Phillips, U.S. Representative Angie Craig, and Minnesota National Guard Chaplain Captain Hickory Smith, and Inver Grove Heights Mayor George Torville. I would also like to recognize some special guests who are with us today sitting in the audience. Again, please hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. Director Patrick Kelly from the Minneapolis VA Healthcare System. Greg Peterson, President of the Minnesota Association of County Veteran Service Officers. Minnesota Secretary of State, Steve Simon. The reigning Miss Minnesota, Catherine Kippers. The elected leaders of the Minnesota Congressionally Chartered Veteran Service Organization, collectively referred to as the Commanders Task Force. I ask the commanders to please stand and be recognized. They are the sponsors of this great event each year. Starting with our Commanders Task Force Vice Chair, Scott Burnt, Disabled American Veterans. Martin Dorbeck, American Legion. John Flores, AMVETS. Peter Nikitas, Jewish War Veterans. Chad Solheim, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and Robert Verbensky, Vietnam Veterans of America. Thank you, Commanders. I'd also like to recognize a few more people here. Former Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs Commissioner Larry Shelito, Dakota County Commissioner Joe Atkins, Department of Corrections Commissioner Paul Schnell, and finally, The senior leadership from the Department of Veterans Affairs, including Deputy Commissioner of Programs and Services, Brad Lindsay, Deputy Commissioner of Veterans Healthcare, Douglas Hughes, and Chief of Staff, Mike Mccollum. So we have one last addition here. We'd like to recognize Ken Graves from the Minneapolis VA healthcare system. So we have a couple more recognitions here. I would like to recognize and thank the following for their support of today's event. Boy Scout Troop 507 for providing and placing the flags you saw outside. Also, the Inver Grove Heights Recreation Department and the Inver Grove Heights Fire Department for their assistance again this year. For those of you that had breakfast this morning, we'd like to also recognize Cane's Catering for providing that breakfast. That was well appreciated. Cane's Catering has provided for this event for more than 10 years. So there is one last recognition, Town Square Television of Inver Grove Heights. We thank you for covering our event today. It is now my honor to introduce Commissioner Larry Heike. Retired Colonel Larry Heike was appointed as the 18th Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs in January of 2019. Commissioner Heike is charged with assisting Minnesota's 308,000 veterans and their families. He also represents MDVA at hearings before the Minnesota State Legislature and United States Congress. Maintains a close working relationship with many various veteran service organizations here in Minnesota. Commissioner Heike served more than 30 years as a member of the United States Army and Minnesota National Guard. Please join me in welcoming Commissioner Heike.
Thank you very much. I'm great to be here today. It sort of reminds me of the Gophers game. We were the host of the Gophers game recently, and that was quite an event. If you were there, heard it on the radio. We won over Penn State, so that was thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, I'm honored to welcome you here today. I hope that each one of you had a great breakfast here this morning. Had a lot of those maple sausages. This is an annual event that we use to celebrate Veterans Day here in Minnesota. The Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, or MDVA, that's what we call ourselves, is proud to serve those who have served in the U.S. military. We have, as you heard in the introduction, about 308,000 veterans and their families that are here in Minnesota. And it is your service and sacrifice as a veteran that has kept our country free and safe. No matter what branch you served in, whatever your job, or even how many years that you did serve, raising your right hand and committing yourself to military service was a brave and selfless act. One that results in few guarantees of where you'd be assigned, where you would be deployed, or what injuries you might incur as part of your actual service. If you returned from your service 75 years ago, which a couple veterans I met here today have done, or just last week, I want you to know that MDVA is here to support you. We partner with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and Minnesota County Veteran Service Officers and Minnesota's many veteran service organizations, among others, to help deliver benefits that you have earned. We also serve veterans' families and their survivors, providing them with important programs and services. We care for our veterans who represent yours from World War II to the current war on terror. Those that might be transitioning from active duty and exploring educational and employment opportunities. Those who may be aging and need more support or full-time care. Who may be struggling with emotional or financial challenges. who may be facing homelessness or even considering suicide. Minnesota veterans have given their all to serve our nation, and now it's time that we fight for them. At the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, we stand ready to serve you, and here's a couple of the ways that we actually do that. Our claims office, which is out at the Whipple Building, files over 2,000 claims per year for federal and state claims for veterans and their dependents. We advocate for veterans benefits, for disability and compensation, vocational rehabilitation, or education. We have a field operations staff who travels extensively to connect veterans all over the state. This actually includes direct support to all 11 Native American tribal nations in Minnesota through our Tribal Veteran Service Officers, or TVSOs. Our higher education program staff, who are responsible for delivering over $130 million in benefits last year, are ready to assist veterans and eligible family members accessing the right benefits and school programs. Our employment team works with our area employers to support veterans seeking on-the-job training, and the area I like is the apprenticeships programs, which are really taking off right now, with the focus on making sure that we get a living wage for all veterans and sustainable employment. We lead a collaborative effort in effectively ending veterans' homelessness in the state. We want to be the 4th state to declare homelessness taken care of by our veterans. At this time, we have about 293 veterans that we're tracking on our registry. And we work with local, state, and federal folks as a collaborative effort. And I can report to you that we've been placing over 40 veterans per month for the last 3 months in permanent housing. So that's a great accomplishment. We do recognize the tragedy of veteran suicide in our state, and we're actually partnering with the federal VA and the Minnesota Department of Health to push community health model focused on veterans issues. Each year we lose between 90 and 100 veterans to suicide. As our veterans age, our 5 veterans homes are here to care for currently now about 800 veterans across the state of Minnesota. And we're waiting right now approval from the federal government to expand 3 new homes throughout Minnesota in the communities of Mcgee, Montevideo, and Preston. And finally, when our veterans do pass, when it's their time, we are honored to provide a dignified final resting place in one of our 3 current state veteran cemeteries, which are located in Little Falls, Preston, and our newest cemetery is actually in Duluth, Minnesota. We want to make a dignified resting place a reality for all veterans in greater Minnesota. And again, here we're trying to expand to a 4th state cemetery in Redwood County, Minnesota. As one veteran to another, I want to thank you not only for your service, but for your many sacrifices that you have made to keep our country free. I know that both you and your families have made sacrifices that the rest of society doesn't even begin to understand. You've answered the call to service. Thank you for being there when your country needed you. I do want to emphasize, and this is from my heart, that MDVA is here for you and your family, no matter where you're at. We have offices located in 55 cities throughout Minnesota, and it is our mission to make sure that you get the care and the benefits that you have earned. Now I ask that you turn your attention to the screen where Minnesota veterans were recognized in an event at the Minnesota State Fair last August. Please watch with me a short video produced by Twin Cities Public Television that captures our fellow Minnesotans' words of appreciation.
The war's been going on a long time in the Middle East, so we kind of forget that we still have soldiers and sailors, airmen, Marines overseas that won't be home for Veterans Day, won't be home to see their family anytime soon. So, it's important on Veterans Day we think about those guys and gals. It's important that we think about all the service members that are overseas, just because, like, they're not going to get to celebrate Veterans Day like we will.
Veterans Day it's not just a day, it's a remembrance of those who either serving, or those who are going to go out and forth and serve in their capacity and their component in the military. So this day recognizes those who have done it and those who are about to do it.
When I think of Veterans Day, I really just think about the soldiers in general who came before me. I'm privileged to carry on that lineage of service on their behalf.
I came from a Hmong background, so we had family who served alongside the United States as well. So I do appreciate Veterans Day a lot, and it means a lot to me.
The biggest thing that people not in the military can do to support military families is just to lend an ear, just to be there, provide the support, just have conversation and dialogue, check in the military families around you, just to ensure that, as a community, everyone knows that we're here together.
Family is key, and they need so much more credit for the support that they give us and allow us to do what we do.
They really understand that, hey, this is not a job, this is not something where, I'm just doing the clock in hours. This is a passion of mine that I've been decided to do for a long, extended period of my life.
Many people, especially people not familiar with the military, don't understand the sacrifices that the family members go through. My young son, who still remembers, on his 10th birthday, I woke him up to actually kiss him goodbye before I left on my deployment to Iraq.
The family provides that support that soldiers need, because soldiers can't really handle everything on our own.
My siblings have always been there for me, sending me messages, emails, phone calls, helping out, making sure I'm okay. You just can't say enough about family.
The families play an important role, and they need to be recognized for what they do in supporting their loved ones and being part of the team.
It's a community effort. All of the different organizations, all the different people coming together collectively do make one of the hardest jobs in the military as a military family member possible.
Thank you to the great state of Minnesota for all the support. You just always welcome us back with open arms, and it's amazing to be here.
Good morning. I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I'm truly honored and humbled to be with all of you this morning. Our veterans deserve to be honored and remembered for their selfless and remarkable acts of service. The men and women who served our country back then and who serve today are brave in their commitment to serve our communities and our country. We know that when someone makes a commitment to serve, as we just heard, so does their family. And so I wanted to show appreciation to all the families who are here as well today.
He's next.
Because of this, we are forever grateful to each and every one of you. It is the courage and dedicated service that we all on this stage and across the state of Minnesota and our country should look to as an example of true selfless leadership. So I get to travel across the state, and oftentimes I am with our governor. Part of my job as Lieutenant Governor is I get to be the opening act for the governor. And I have an opportunity to introduce him quite often, and it is truly an honor. But today in particular, on Veterans Day, I get to introduce to you my favorite coworker, who achieved the rank of Command Sergeant Major in the Army National Guard, and someone who proudly wears the Red Bull whenever he can. So please join me in welcoming our governor, a veteran, Governor Tim Walz.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Minnesota. Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, thank you for the kind introduction. Todd, I think it should be noted, I had the privilege of serving for 12 years on the House Veterans Affairs Committee in the United States Congress, and I can assure every one of you here, veterans had no stronger voice of credibility and passion than Todd, so thank you for that. To our federal delegation, Senator Smith, Representatives Mccollum, Representative Phillips, and Representative Craig, I am incredibly grateful both for your presence here and for the work that you do together. General Jensen and your team, as always, thank you for the leadership you provide. Thank you for preparing our troops as they're sent into harm's way and bringing them home safely. We are incredibly grateful. And Mayor, just an incredible thank you to you and this community. You've been hosting this event for many years. It is a labor of love. It is a demonstration of this community's patriotism and care. And I think all of you would agree who've been here. This is your first time or over decades you've been here. You leave here feeling that sense of unity that we all know that comes with sharing service. You leave here knowing that this is a room that no matter what's swirling outside, internationally or domestically, things feel right in this space. So I am grateful. I'd like to take a point of personal privilege for just 1 second and thank a Army veteran who's here, someone who served in the United States Army and then had a career serving the state in the Minnesota State Patrol. He had the duty, I hope it was a privilege, but a duty of serving 4 governors on their detail. And today is Minnesota State Trooper Pat Gibbs' final day, and I want to say thank you to him. To veterans, family, and friends, thanks for taking time out of your busy day. Thanks for remembering what's important. Thanks for showing this outward display that it matters. It matters to stop and take a moment. It matters to talk about what came before us and to talk about where we're going. I want to give a special thank you to those folks I've noticed who brought young ones. It may be that we have deployed parents at the time. It may be you brought them down here, but for all the young people in this room, I think it's important to recognize what's around you. We sit amongst those who have the stories of this nation's history. You're sitting amongst people who in those darkest hours, and as we're approaching the 75th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge next week, where 20,000 young Americans laid down their lives. We're going to be approaching Iwo Jima and the battles of the Pacific, where tens of thousands never came home. But as that light of liberty's torch was dimmed, and we were on the precipice of darkness across Europe, Asia, and the world, it was those in this room amongst us who stood up and held that flame high and kept it lit. And they were followed by those who went to Korea as communism's oppressive grip was spreading again. There they were. And they were there in Southeast Asia. And they were there in the mountains of Afghanistan and the hot desert of Iraq. Always not for personal gain, not for glory, but for the very simple and eloquent pursuit of freedom, justice, and the ideals that we stand for. So for those who brought children, thank you for that. For those of you who are here, and I know this is a group that does it often, we are blessed that they still walk amongst us. Don't miss the opportunity to talk. Don't miss the opportunity to listen. And I think for me, it would be remiss if we didn't say it. These are challenging times. They're challenging internationally, and I'm not telling you anything. They're challenging at home. I'm already planning on how I'm going to get around Thanksgiving dinner with Uncle Gary when he comes, because he is not happy with me. Those are things that happen. That's who we are. We've survived those challenges. We've risen to that occasion. But the one thing we never allowed to happen is to divide us. And I would ask the veterans in this room to think about this. There's few times in your life where you feel a sense of unity and camaraderie and the purest form of democracy than when you were with your units. Whether it was in training, at basic training, whether it was in peacetime, whether it was domestic deployments or international deployments. The sense of single-minded unity of purpose, all for a greater good, is what dominated. Many of us know that afterwards, it's hard to find that in daily life. It's hard to find it amongst when our veterans come back, because their purpose was so clear, and it was so unified, and it was so right. And I think now, what you hold true is what the nation's looking for. Your neighbors have finally got this. They'll come up and say thank you, but they're looking for more than that. They're looking for your leadership. They're looking for you to lean into these issues that are challenges. They're looking to return us to a sense of the strength lies amongst our differences, but our willingness to share those values. The willingness to put yourselves on the line for people we would never know. And because of that, that torch of liberty shines brightly.
But everyone in this room knows there's those that would do and put it out given the chance. There's those that would change the direction. There's those who would oppress. And so on this Veterans Day, all of the privileges that we've been given, the privilege to live our lives the way we choose, the privilege to self-govern and vote for or vote against what you like or don't like, the privilege to worship however you see fit. And as Commissioner Herbie said, the privilege to cheer like mad when your Gophers are undefeated in November. So those are things that we have. That's the beauty of this life. That's the beauty of what America stands for. And it's not just a nation. It's not just lines on a map. It's an ideal. And that ideal was carried into battle. It was carried through the Cold War. It was carried in peacetime. And it was carried so many times by people who never asked for thanks. They simply did it because that's who we are. So as we leave today, and I know you feel this, the sense of unity that we have together, the sense of purpose that we can do, the sense of that service that you can show with others, because we're at a time, only 1% of this nation are serving right now. And you heard some of these folks on the screen. We're going to deploy 1,000 of our Minnesota sisters and brothers, and they will not be here during the holidays. They will not be singing on Christmas Eve. They will not be there when birthdays or when summer comes. They will be serving in the Middle East to preserve peace, dignity, and freedom across the world. And so when we think about our responsibility in that, lift up our neighbors now who are wondering, is this the way it's always been? Are we always going to be arguing? Can I never go to Thanksgiving dinner again? The answer is certainly we can. We've been through darker times. We've been through times that have challenged us, but the one thing we've never allowed to happen, we've never allowed outside or inside people divide us around our common American core values. And our veterans signify that. Our veterans embody that. So thank you for being here. Mayor, once again, thanks to this great community. Thanks to Minnesotans who serve at a percentage higher than almost any place else in the country. Thanks to those who continue to raise their hand, our young people. If you want to know what the next greatest generation is, it's the folks who've raised their hands and served after 9/11 and said they're going to protect us. They're doing it voluntarily. They're going out there and serving with dignity. And for that, that's what I am grateful for. For that, that's my thanks. So may God bless each of our veterans, their families, this great state. May God bless the United States of America.
So I would like to ask Governor Walz to make a presentation of our proclamation. Mayor George Torville, could you please be the recipient for this?
Mayor, thank you. One of the great things I get to do as governor is issue proclamations when there's things that stand out in this state. And the State of Minnesota Proclamation, whereas the United States of America was founded upon the premise that all citizens enjoy the blessings of freedom and liberty, and all Americans enjoy these privileges as a direct result of the sacrifices that American veterans have made. Many Minnesotans have paid the ultimate sacrifice in defense of freedom and liberty that we as Americans and Minnesotans enjoy every day, and for which people around the world long for. The debt all citizens owe to America's veterans can never be fully repaid, and no mere day or observance can sufficiently serve to honor Americans and those Minnesotans who dedicated their lives to defending the principle of freedom and liberty for all. Whereas it's only fitting and proper that we gratefully recognize and appreciate all that has been given and sacrificed by American veterans in order to ensure that all Americans enjoy the principles. Now, therefore, I, Tim Walz, Governor of Minnesota, do hereby proclaim Monday, November 11, 2019, here in this great city and across the state, Veterans Day.
There you go. Thank you. Governor, thank you very much for being our governor and also for your service. We are very honored in the city of Inver Grove Heights to host this event. And again, it's been decades. We don't plan on giving it up. We plan on home of the Red Bulls right here. And we're very proud to do it. In fact, I know people have talked about they come up 80th Street, they come off the highway, Robert Street, whatever, and they come around the corner and they see that American flag held by our fire trucks and the Inver Grove Heights Fire Department. It's a proud moment, and in taking a look, again, the city of Inver Grove and Inver Hills Community College are yellow ribbon. We're a yellow ribbon city, and Inver Hills is a yellow ribbon trying to do more and more for the vets that come back and finding jobs and doing things for them. We take a look again, and many of us remember Armistice Day, the 11th month, 11th day, 11th hour. President Eisenhower decided to make it a national holiday and call it Veterans Day. And to tell you the truth, it's celebrated officially, but Veterans Day should be every day in the United States of America. I wanted to mention that in taking a look at a yellow ribbon city and the yellow ribbon group, and the Dakota County has a very strong veterans group, and that there are too many veterans that, and we can claim all of reasons, but I'll tell you, if you know of a vet in need, if you know of a vet that needs help, help them. Get them help. You may not be the one, but reach out, take a look. There's phone numbers, there's websites, there's whatever. We have too many vets for various reasons who take their lives through a very, very unfortunate situation or whatever. And I challenge everybody in this room to take a look that we need to reach out. We need to help. We can take a look at making a difference one at a time. And from housing to drug rehabilitation to all of the programs that are done within the Veterans Organization and helping them. So I challenge everybody to send that message and to make sure that we take a look at taking care of them. God bless the veterans of the past, those that are serving now, and those of the future. And I, again, also appreciate, like the governor, to see young kids and children here, because they're the future veterans. And we need to all take a look. And again, as mentioned, we can be divided. We'll get out of this event and take a look, and there'll be all kinds of stuff that'll be on TV and whatever and that. But again, every day can be Veterans Day. We can get together. God bless the city of Inver Grove Heights and the great state of Minnesota, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Walz, and thank you, Mayor Torville, for your continued commitment to our veterans. Outstanding. I'm now pleased to introduce Major General John A. Jensen. General Jensen assumed duties as Minnesota's 31st Adjutant General in November of 2017. He commands more than 11,000 soldiers and 2,000 airmen and women of the Minnesota National Guard, and serves as Governor Walz's lead at the Department of Military Affairs. Please welcome General Jensen.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome, and first and foremost to the Commander's Task Force, to Mayor Torville. Thank you so much for all the hard work that I know that goes into this event. I'm a Dakota County resident, so I've been attending this event for years. Previously to being assigned a great seat on the stage, I used to sit in the back of the room with my Red Bull hat pulled tightly over my eyes after a very satisfying breakfast. So thank you for your continued support of this event. And ladies and gentlemen, distinguished visitors, veterans and family members, I'm very happy to be with you here once again. Thank you for continuing to attend this event and making this event so special. As we approach the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month, 100 years ago, President Wilson proclaimed, at the end of the Great War, our enemies laid down their arms in accordance with an armistice which rendered them impotent to renewed hostilities and gave the world an assured opportunity to reconstruct its shattered order and to work out a peace, a new and juster set of international relations. To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in their country's service, and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us and because of the opportunity it has given America. And as Armistice Day grew into Veterans Day, Today and every Veterans Day, we acknowledge our debt of gratitude to the individuals who have kept our nation whole. The soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardmen, merchant Marines of the United States. And today, as they continue to demonstrate their patriotism, love of country, willingness to serve, and the courage to sacrifice individual safety for the common good of our great nation. From the Minutemen who earned our independence to today's warriors deterring and confronting aggression all around the world, the generations of patriots who dedicated themselves to the defense of our country make us stronger and more resilient as a nation. This day belongs to you. Here in Minnesota, today belongs to the over 380,000 veterans living in our state. Today belongs to the more than 13,000 currently serving members of the Minnesota National Guard. Today belongs to the more than 5,000 reserve component members of other services and our roughly 500 active duty members stationed here in Minnesota. And today belongs to all of our fellow Minnesotans on active duty stationed across the globe. President Obama, when speaking of veterans and Veterans Day, said, "Everyone can do something. Every American, every business, every profession, every school, every community, every state. All of us as one American team. That's how we will truly honor our veterans. That's how we will truly say thank you. That's how we will uphold the sacred trust with all who've served in our name." So as we reflect on Veterans Day, I ask that you think of your veterans from right here in Minnesota, a neighbor, a family member, a member of your church, someone from your community. Take the time to recognize that great Minnesotan, thank them for their service, and support them. For as President Coolidge said a long time ago, the nation which forgets its defenders will itself be forgotten. My thanks to all of you that have gathered here today to ensure we haven't forgotten. And finally, speaking as a veteran to all of you, today is a special day for us veterans because we all pause to reflect on our service and remember those who we've had the fortune to serve with. Our service does not make us special or put us in a special class because we serve to protect the idea that all are created equal, that all have value. Veterans Day is a day to celebrate ordinary Americans, some who have done extraordinary things, but who consider our service to this great nation and our fellow Americans as an honor and a privilege of a lifetime. God bless our veterans, God bless their families, our servicemen and women, our leaders, our citizens, and our nation, the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, General Jensen. Those are wonderful words. I appreciate that, as many of us veterans in the attending today. Next, I would want to take a moment to recognize and thank the 34th Infantry Division Red Bull Band. So we're going to have a little bit of participation here with all of you. The band will now help us honor each branch of the military with the Armed Forces Salute. Inside your program, you will find the words for each service song. I invite you to sing along. Please stand as you are able and be recognized when the song of your branch of service is played. I may be a little biased, but I believe we Marines were the best sounding. We from Minnesota are fortunate to have strong support from our state and national leaders, and a number are here with us today. I'm going to deviate just a little bit. After having been involved with legislative issues for quite a long time, as a veteran, it has always been a privilege to be able to count on our support from our state and national representatives. It's been a pleasure to be able to work with them, and their support for us continues and will be a major factor in Minnesota being able to be one of the fortunate states to have total support from our representatives. It is now my pleasure to introduce United States Senator Tina Smith.
Good morning. Well, Todd, I think we're doing a pretty good job, though you did threaten if we went a little long, you threatened to drive right off the stage. So we'll keep this moving along. It's such an honor to be here with all of you today. Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, thank you for reminding us that we are one Minnesota. I want to thank Commissioner Herkey and Mayor Torville. Thank you for welcoming us to this fantastic yellow ribbon community, to my colleagues from Congress, Representative Craig and Mccollum and Phillips, and also I want to send a big shout out to all of you from my colleague and our senior senator in Minnesota, Senator Amy Klobuchar. I want to also thank Major General Jensen and Chaplain Smith, and above all, thank you to all of you for being here today. I'm so humbled to join you. So this year marks the 101st anniversary of the armistice of World War I, which ended on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. And it also marks the 154th anniversary of the Civil War. Our veterans' sacrifice and service exemplifies the very best that our state has to offer, and it reflects such a proud tradition of citizen soldiers, starting with the Civil War. Now, at the outbreak of the Civil War, Minnesota was the newest state in the Union, but we were the first to volunteer troops in our nation's defense. 24,000 young Minnesotans, including 100 free African Americans, numerous Native Americans, and at least one woman, answered the call, leaving behind their families and their friends and their civilian lives to serve a higher purpose, the defense of our nation and the fight for justice. As Minnesota author Richard Moe wrote, those soldiers in Minnesota's first were ordinary young men and a woman who were called upon to do extraordinary things. Those brave Minnesotans began a proud legacy of service in our state. And despite our relatively small population, Minnesotans have made outsized contributions to our national defense. The 24,000 Minnesotans who volunteered to join the Civil War effort represented roughly 13% of Minnesota's entire population. And since then, thousands more Minnesotans have answered the call of our nation, serving with great courage in countless deployments around the world. And today, we come together to honor veterans from all of our wars. We will never forget your service, and our duty is to make sure that you have everything that you need. Thank you to the service that you provided. And we know that this service is not just borne solely by veterans, but also by your spouses, your children, and your parents who have also served through your service. No veteran or their family should ever hesitate to seek help when you need it, whether it is helping to pursue higher education, or to find housing or good jobs, or healing from the wounds of your service, both mental and physical. Seeking help when you need it, and we all need help. We all need help at some point in our lives. That is a sign of strength and not weakness. The Veterans Administration and hundreds of community assets around this state are there for you. Thank you to the Minnesota Veterans Administration, which is a world-class facility here in Minnesota, providing amazing support for veterans and our families. So on behalf of myself and all Minnesotans, I want to thank you for your service and your sacrifice. We are so grateful. Thank you again for allowing me to celebrate with you today, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Senator Smith. I am now pleased to welcome United States Representative Betty Mccollum.
So Todd, I've learned a little time saver. And when you go to large international conferences and they have to go through and announce everybody, they just say, all the great people before us did a great job. So all protocols reserved and recognized. Once again, it's an honor and a privilege to be with you here on Veterans Day. And as been pointed out, we gather here today to honor all America's veterans for their courage, their love of community, their love of country, and most of all, for their willingness to serve and sacrifice for our nation, for our democracy, for the freedoms we're all enjoying here today. And we are grateful for them. We are so grateful for them to serve us in their uniforms. We are grateful for the men and women who continue to serve in the armed forces. And this year we pause to remember those who led the way to liberate Europe from tyranny as we mark the 75th anniversary of D-Day landings. And I just came back from Africa a couple of days ago in a small country called Malawi. And I was at the U.S. Ambassador's residence, and this gentleman walked up in front of me, and I said, "Hello, I like your poppy." He was from England. And we started talking about how this is a moment that sometimes even we in the United States forget, where our European allies are taking the same moment to recognize all those who have sacrificed so much for us and to honor their veterans who return home. And I talked about how we wear our poppies on Memorial Day, and he said, "That's good too." He said, "In Europe, we'll wear them on Veterans Day, you wear them on Memorial Day, and we'll remember our veterans all year round." Then later that evening, I was talking with our ambassador and people who work in the Foreign Service who also serve our country with great service. And there were some younger staffers there. And we started talking about poppies, and I started talking about Flanders Field, and a gentleman that I have gotten to know, his name's Bert Conders, he was a foreign minister from the Netherlands, and he's one of the extras in The Longest Day. And I looked at the young staffers with us, and I knew that they didn't have a clue what I was talking about, the movie The Longest Day. So I told them that they needed to take out their smartphones right now and put that in their notes, and they had to watch it. So I say that because Governor Walz, you and I being social studies teachers, know how it's important that veterans, when they can and they're asked to go to the schools and share their stories. This is not history in the sense that it's static and it's happened in the past. You represent the history not only of the past, but the history to be written into the future. I also want to join along with those up here who are recognizing the Minnesota National Guard and the 934th Airlift Wing who are currently deployed. For them and their families, we give them our thoughts and prayers, and we wish them all successful missions, and we look forward to them returning home soon and safely. We owe all our veterans, as has been pointed out, both men and women, a tremendous amount of gratitude. In Congress, our congressional delegation, Todd, is proud to honor that commitment to ensure that they have what they need in care when they return home. And you can count on all of us up here today, regardless of party or years of service, or whether they're in the Senate or the House, to work together to make sure that you receive the benefits you earn. I am proud to say that the House has passed, and it's sitting over in the Senate, and I know Senator Klobuchar and Smith can't wait to join us in the agreement that we reached bipartisanly to put a bill on the President's desk to guarantee those benefits into the future. I want to take a second as a member of Congress a daughter of a World War II veteran who served in the U.S. Army Air Corps in China, India, and Burma, a proud family that served and fought in the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. I want to reaffirm my unyielding support for the VA because I know firsthand how important it is for veterans not to be afraid to ask for help, ensuring that they get the care that they earn in a timely and efficient manner. So the VA and those representatives who are here, we thank you for your service as well. I want to conclude with reading something. It's in your program. He's not with us today. A couple of people on the stage have pointed out we now have added the Merchant Marine song. The reason why I did that is I heard my father talk about how important it was to have the supplies come. I'm going to close with reading the words from the Merchant Marine song. And to our Coastie who is here, next time we'll be more robust singing the words along with you. But here are the words to the Merchant Marines. Heave ho, my lads, heave ho. It's a long, long way to go. It's a long, long pull for our hatches full, braving the wind, braving the sea, fighting the treacherous foe. Heave ho, my lads, heave ho. Let the seas roll high or low. We can cross any ocean, sail any river, give us the goods and we'll deliver. Damn the submarine. We are the men of the Merchant Marine. God bless every single one of you.
Thank you for that, Representative McCollum. Join me now in welcoming United States Representative Dean Phillips.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Good morning, my friends. It has been said that America will remain the land of the free so as long as we are the home of the brave. And as I look throughout this room at each and every one of you, I thank you for your bravery. And I'm joined by 350 million Americans who celebrate your courage, your service, and your sacrifices, and your families as well. And today's personal for me as well, because I'm a Gold Star son. I lost my dad, Artie, in the Vietnam War when I was a little boy. He grew up in St. Paul, needed an ROTC scholarship to attend the University of Minnesota, where he graduated in 1967, and was killed in action in 1969 in Pleiku, Vietnam. And I'm one who knows what government can share, and I know what government can take. And I think about that every single time I vote on the House floor in the United States House of Representatives. And I'm one of 92 new members of Congress, along with my colleague Angie Craig, Democrats and Republicans throughout our great nation, many of them veterans. And we're all aware of the fact that we are a nation that has historically always found the resources to go to war and somehow lacks them when it comes time to take care of you when you come home. And that will not stand, and that will not stand. I look forward to working with each and every one of you to do better by you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your service. And I invite all of you, as has been said by others on this podium, to come together. We've needed nothing more in a long time than to outreach our hands, extend hugs and handshakes and even high fives. For that is the war that we must fight here in our own country. So thank you for what you have done. Keep the faith, and I remind you that optimism is just as contagious as fear, and that is up to all of us. Godspeed, God bless America, and God bless all of you.
And now, please welcome United States Representative Angie Craig.
Well, it's a true honor to have each of you in the 2nd Congressional District of Minnesota today, the home of the Red Bulls and the home of so many courageous veterans. It's an honor to be here and be a representative in this delegation. And I will tell you that there are things that divide us in this country, but every single one of my colleagues in this Congress, Democrats and Republicans alike, We are here to support our veterans. Too many in this nation don't grow up in a military family. See, I'm the proud granddaughter of a man who served in the Navy during World War II. And I am the proud niece of two uncles who served in the Vietnam War. Too often in our nation's history, these wars have been borne by too few. I'm also the proud granddaughter of a 93-year-old grandmother who's still with us. And we were sitting at her kitchen table the first time I ran for Congress, and she said to me, "The hardest time in my entire life was when I had 2 sons in the Army in Vietnam." I'm the mother of 4 sons, just like she was. There will never be a harder question that I will have to tackle than whether or not we send our men and women off to war. But there will never be more resolve for what we need to do as a nation to take care of our veterans when they come home. See, we need to make sure that they have jobs. Some of you know I spent over 20 years working in business before I stepped out to run for public office and serve the constituents of this district. And I'm proud to say that when those veterans returning from Iraq and Afghanistan came home, that the MedTech community in Minnesota bonded together, and we didn't say, "What party are you from?" We said, "How can we put you to work now that you're here?" I am proud to say that last week, I reached out to the Mayo Clinic and I said, "Why are the 7,000 veterans in Wabasha and Goodhue counties not able to come to see you using their TRICARE?" I have stood up. One of my uncles, he's no longer with us. He died at 49, ridden with cancer of Agent Orange exposure. The burn pits that our returning Iraqi and Afghanistan veterans had to man, this is the next Agent Orange of our generation. So I tell you as I stand here today, my office, we are here to serve the veterans of the 2nd Congressional District. My commitment to you is that we will honor your sacrifice, your family's sacrifice, and that we will always, always fight for you when you come home. Thank you for protecting our democracy. Thank you for protecting this great nation that we're still building together. And thank you so much for the honor to represent you. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Craig, for those words of support. It's greatly appreciated. United States Representative Tom Emmer was unable to join us. However, he sends his best wishes to our veterans. And we have a short video representing what his message then.
Hello, I'm Congressman Tom Emmer. I represent Minnesota's 6th Congressional District in Congress. I'd much rather be there in person today, but thank you for taking the time to hear from me. I want to thank the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs for organizing this event and for the work the department's great people do every day to ensure Minnesota's veterans get the care they deserve. Last year, I toured a nursing facility in St. Paul with then-Commissioner Larry Shillitoe, where I saw firsthand the outstanding care that was being provided to our veterans by the department. The defense of our nation is the most important responsibility of our federal government, and the patriots who put their lives on the line deserve recognition and our gratitude. They also deserve the best benefits and care available. We honor our veterans by strengthening the benefits that help further their education, by ensuring they receive the highest quality health care, and by assisting them in finding gainful employment upon their return to our communities. That's why every day, not just today, we must fight for our veterans. We cannot say thank you enough to the courageous men and women who have dedicated their lives to the safety and security of this country. We are the land of the free because of the brave. Our veterans have risked their lives for our freedom and liberty. For that, we are eternally grateful. Today, On Veterans Day, November 2019, we make a special thank you. But please make sure to thank a veteran not just today, but every day. And if there's ever anything that our office can help you with, please don't hesitate to contact us either at our Otsego or Washington, D.C. locations. Thank you.
We appreciate those words from Representative Emmer. Also, I'd like to be able to point out United States Senator Amy Klobuchar was also unable to be with us today, but she sent her Veterans Day wishes in a letter that is displayed at the entrance. Please take the time and read Senator Klobuchar's remarks. And now, please stand as you are able as I welcome back Chaplain Hickory Smith as he leads us in the benediction.
The mayor just reminded me to look at your watches and the timing being 11:11. Significant point of time. But as we go today, I want to give us a reminder that whether you served in the military or in Congress or however you serve, we all have the duty to serve and to fight for what's right. So that's a charge today. May the God of peace grant you strength and warmth in your heart. May we go in peace to serve God and country.
Thank you, Chaplain Smith. Thank you all for joining us today. Please remain standing for the departure of our official party. So before I conclude this, just a little bit of last-minute housekeeping item. The center displays, the balloons that you see that are now placed on either side of the walls here, those are for your taking. We appreciate your attendance today. Thank you all for celebrating with us and honoring our Minnesota veterans on Veterans Day ceremony. Your support is greatly appreciated. Have a wonderful day and thank you.
Welcome to Volkswagen of Inver Grove. Today we have an award-winning Volkswagen facility on South Robert Street. All of us at Volkswagen of Inver Grove hope to see you soon.
The South Robert Street Business Association supports the local businesses that support your community. You can find us at facebook.com/SRSBA.
Thank you all so much for coming. This takes a tremendous amount of people working together.
Inver Grove Heights is now home to a hero.
Coming around the corner now is our guest of honor. So we want to welcome this morning to our new home in Inver Grove Heights, Minnesota, a United States Marine, an American hero, Sergeant Andrea Bruns.
My heart is smiling. Like, if I stop smiling, I'm still smiling.
Sergeant Andrea Bruns didn't know anything about Inver Grove Heights before she found out she'd be calling it home.
Take your shoes off, Daddy. There's one there. There are. I'm gonna see you.
Get to see your house. Your new house.
Welcome.
This is going to help her to focus and concentrate on what she needs most, which is that rehabilitation from the wounds of war from which she is still suffering.
Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure. Honor. Thank you.
Bruns, who grew up in Ohio, did 2